we're going to take a look at 3 different systems and solve them each by elimination. The first system is pretty straightforward to use elimination, and elimination means that you want to get rid of one of the variables. By adding or subtracting the 2 equations. So that's going to be our approach to add or subtract. And if you take a look at that first set A, x plus 2y equals 6 and 3x minus 2y equals 2, you'll probably notice that if I add them together, x plus 2y equals 6 and 3x minus 2y equals 2, that when I add them together, those y terms are going to cancel out. They have the same coefficient. They both have 2's, but one's positive and one's negative. So let's do that. Let's add the 2 equations together. So x plus 3x is 4x. Negative 2 added to the 2y is just 0y, so those cancel out. And 6 plus 2 is 8. So the y's have completely gone away. I'm left with just x. Now I'll divide both sides by 4, and I'll find that x equals 2. Once I've found one of the variables, in this case x, I can substitute my answer back into one of the original equations and find y. I'm going to use the top equation, x plus 2y equals 6. So I'm going to substitute in 2 for the x, and then solve for y. Subtract 2 on both sides, divide both sides by 2, and y also equals 2. Now I might not be sure that I have the right answer, so I can show that I have the right answer by checking my answer. X is 2, y is 2. And I'm going to plug them back into one of the 2 equations. I used the top one last time, so I'll use the bottom one this time for my check. 3x minus 2y equals 2. Plug in 2 for x, so 3 times 2. Plug in 2 for y, so 2 times 2. And then subtract. See if I get 2 on both sides. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 take away 4 is indeed 2, so I'm good to go. It works. Yay. Let's look at system B. So system B, negative 6x plus 5y equals 4 and 7x minus 10y equals negative 8 is still pretty easy. It's not quite as straightforward because if I added the 2 equations together as they are right now, 6x plus 5y equals 4 and 7x minus 10y equals negative 8, neither the x's or the y's are going to cancel out. But if I could think of a number to multiply one of the equations by so that the coefficients of either the x's or the coefficients of the y's were the same, if I could make them the same, then my x's or my y's would cancel out. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2. If I do that, when I multiply the 2 times the 5y, I'll end up with 10y in that top equation, and then my y terms are going to cancel out. So here I go. I'm going to multiply 2 times each of the terms and the constant in my top equation. And this is going to turn into 2 times negative 6, or negative 12x, 2 times 5, or 10y, and 2 times 4, or 8. And you want to make sure really that your multiplying all the way to the very end of the problem. Go all the way past the equal sign. Sometimes people forget to do that, and then they won't get the right answer. All right, I'm not going to do anything with the bottom equation, 7x minus 10y equals negative 8, because I don't need to. I've got two coefficients the same. Add the two equations together next. So negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5x. My y terms are going to cancel out, and 8 plus a negative 8 is 0. Divide both sides by negative 5. X equals 0. Same process now to find y. We'll pick one of the two equations. I'll use the top equation. Negative 6x plus 5y equals 4. So negative 6x plus 5y equals 4. I'm going to substitute my 0 in for x, so negative 6 times 0 plus 5y equals 4. 6 times 0 is just 0, so that's going to go away. I'm left with 5y equals 4. Divide both sides by 5, and y is going to equal 4/5. So you may be a little nervous now because you're probably used to getting whole number answers. Well, let's check. Let's check our x equals 0 and y equals 5 and the other equation and just see if it works. Maybe I've made a mistake. I don't know. We're going to use the bottom equation to check. 7x minus 10y equals negative 8. Oops, this is from an earlier problem. Sorry about that. So 7x minus 10y equals negative 8. And I am checking my answer. 0, 4/5. Is this the correct answer? 7 times 0 minus 10 times 4/5. Does that equal negative 8? 7 times 0 is just 0. Let's say negative 10. 10 over 1 times 4 over 5. Does that equal negative 8? 10 times 4 is 40. 1 times 5 is 5. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So now I've got 0 minus 8. Does that equal negative 8? It sure does. So even though I got 4/5 for an answer, I didn't get a whole number, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. Check your answers, and even if they do seem that they're the right answer, just to double check. Make sure they're really working. All right, last problem. Last problem is system C, 7x minus 4y equals negative 3, and 2x plus 5y equals negative 7. This equation is going to be the most work of the three systems because I'm not going to be able to get away with just changing one of the equations. I'm going to have to change both of them. Remember, I want to eliminate one of the variable terms, and to do that, the variable terms have to have the same coefficient. I think I'm going to eliminate the x's this time. We'll eliminate the x's this time. We've been eliminating y's all along. And the way I'm going to do that is to swap the coefficients of the x. So that means I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2, coming from this 2x down here at the bottom, and the bottom equation by 7, coming from the 7 up here on top. I'm also going to make the bottom equation negative so that I can just add them together. So those x terms are going to have opposite signs. The top one is going to be a 14x, you can probably see that, and the bottom is going to be a negative 14x, and then the two terms will cancel each other out. All right, let's do that multiplying. 2 times 7 is 14x. I'm multiplying 2 all the way through the top equation's terms. 2 times negative 4y is negative 8y, and 2 times negative 3 all the way past that equal sign is negative 6. Now the bottom, 7 times negative 2 is negative 14x. Negative 7 times 5y is negative 35y. And negative 7 times negative 7 is a positive 49. Combine like terms, add those together. X's cancel. 8y and 35y, they're both negative. Combined together, they will be a negative 43y. Negative 6 plus 49 is going to be a positive 43. Divide both sides by negative 43. Y equals negative 1. Same deal, I'm going to plug negative 1 back into one of the two equations to get x. Let's use that top equation. 7x minus 4y equals negative 3. Substitute in negative 1, 7x minus 4 for the y. Negative 1 equals negative 3. And then let's solve this equation. So I've got 7x plus 4 equals negative 3. Subtract 4 on both sides. I've got 7x equals negative 7. Divide both sides by 7. X equals negative 1, just like my y. Better double check this. And I'm going to double check it by plugging my two answers, negative 1 and negative 1, into the equation that I haven't used, that bottom equation. 2x plus 5y equals negative 7. 2x plus 5y equals negative 7. All right, 2 times negative 1 plus 5 times negative 1. This is looking pretty good. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Does that equal negative 7? Yes, it absolutely does. Yay. We're good to go. You may want to look at this video again. Remember, you can stop and start or back up or pause just to give yourself time to think through what happened or how I got from one step to another. If you still have questions, go ahead and email me and I will email you back. See you tomorrow.